From giant squid to giant tuna, we'll explore how fishermen worldwide harvest the most consumed seafood on a massive scale. In 2023, an angler on Alaska's Kenai River landed a Chinook salmon weighing 65 pounds. But this is a rare catch for recreational fishermen. Commercial fishermen use two main methods to catch salmon. One of them is called purse seining. Fishermen use huge circular nets to trap entire schools in open waters off southeast Alaska's coast. Can you guess how much pink salmon this team caught? 1.3 million pounds. Besides seining in Alaska's Bristol Bay, gill nets are used strategically at river mouths to catch only adult salmon heading inland. In 2022, Alaska's salmon fishery yielded 770 million pounds, contributing $5.7 million to the state's economy. Salmon start life in freshwater rivers, migrate to the ocean, and return to their birthplace to spawn. This journey covers up to 900 miles for salmon species like sockeye and coho. Each species has unique migration windows, making timing crucial for fishermen. In Puget Sound, Washington, sockeye peak mid-July, while Chinook season is later around August. Japanese fishermen have caught extraordinary tuna, including several over 612 pounds. They're sold fresh or frozen for about $76 to $150 per pound. At Tokyo's Toyosu Market, a single bluefin tuna sold for $3.1 million, a record price for fish. Every year, from June to September, these giant fish migrate near Japan, following a warm Pacific current at about 70 kilometers per hour. This 1,000-mile migration kicks off the tuna fishing season, lasting from August to January. Japanese tuna fishermen use sonar fish finders to scan waters about 60 meters from their boats, locating fish schools. When tuna are detected, anglers cast lines with live bait to target individual fish. This sustainable method is called rod and line fishing, with single hook hand line as a variation. When a fish takes the bait, the line snaps, making a loud noise to alert the fishermen. Bluefin tuna are strong, aggressive fish, so anything can happen during the catch. 150 meters to go, but this unlucky fisherman in Aomori, Japan's top tuna fishing prefecture, is wrestling with his tangled line. The tuna keeps pulling, not letting him finish fixing the line. Some fishermen use electric shocks to subdue these aggressive giants. When close, they use large hooks to snag the fish's mouth and bleed the gills immediately to preserve flavor. An average mature bluefin tuna weighs about 135 pounds, like an adult human, so it's tough to haul aboard alone. Next, some fishermen will pierce the brain and run a wire back and forth along the fish's spine or wash it to quickly reduce lactic acid, keeping it fresh much longer. The bleeding, gutting, and delivery process is crucial, as minor flesh damage greatly reduces the price. Some fishermen freeze the tuna for the same reason. For the coastal provinces on Japan's coast, This freezing and processing line is costly, but worthy investment as tuna significantly contributes to Japan's $14.4 million fishing industry. In 2023, the bluefin tuna catch quota for Japanese coastal waters was set at 10 million pounds. For large-scale operations targeting various tuna species, purse seine fishing is the preferred method. This technique involves boats using vast nets, sometimes over 6,000 feet long, to encircle entire schools of fish. Some fishermen even use motorboats to confuse and corral the fish. Once the tuna is enclosed, the net tightens like a drawstring, forming a closed circle. This precise technique is often employed in deep waters off the coasts of Honshu and Hokkaido. Japan consumes 83% of the world's tuna catch, featuring in famous dishes like sushi and sashimi. This growing demand rebuilt cities like Kesenuma, a major tuna processing and export hub, which was hit hard by the 2011 tsunami. But in recent years, increased typhoon activity like Typhoon Haisheng in 2020, with waves reaching over 30 feet, and Typhoon Shanshan in August 2024, have made Japanese tuna fishing one of the world's most challenging marine jobs. In Maine's cold waters, a New England state, lobstermen caught lobsters weighing up to 20 kilos, the largest ever recorded. Typically, those weighing over 20 pounds can fetch more than $500 in the market. Commercial lobstermen often use baited traps placed along the ocean floor in lines called trawls. Here in Maine, each fisherman is allowed a maximum of 800 traps. Meanwhile, Massachusetts and New Hampshire have stricter limits to preserve local populations. Egg-bearing females get a V-notch on their tail, so fishers know their sex and release them to sustain future lobster populations. On average, only 1 in 1,000 eggs survives to adulthood. Lobsters can live over 50 years, molting up to 25 times in their first 7 years to reach full maturity. In most areas, lobsters must be 3.3 to 5.3 inches long for legal capture. The estimated lobster population of New England's coast is about 250 million pounds, one of the world's most stable. Of that total, Maine alone produces about 123 million pounds of lobster annually. Next to Massachusetts, these two states account for over 85% of American lobster production. Maine's lobster industry supports over 10,000 jobs, with 83 million pounds exported to Europe and Asia yearly. However, it wasn't always this way. In the 1800s, lobsters were so plentiful and cheap that they often fed prisoners in New England. The giant squid is a rare, almost mythical catch hidden in the deep, cold Pacific waters. A more common giant squid catch is the Humboldt squid off California and Mexico's Baja Peninsula. They can weigh 118 pounds and measure over 5.3 feet, making them a challenging, valuable catch. Whole giant squid can fetch over $20,000 due to rarity and high demand for exotic seafood. Smaller squid are also economically important for fishermen in Japan, South Korea, and Batara. These fisheries mainly use giant squid techniques for squid production, digging to catching tons of squid yearly. In Japan, flying squid is plentiful July to September. Japanese fishers catch them at night under bright lights, drawing more squid to the surface. Freshness is key, so on many boats, squid are iced minutes after catch to preserve their unique taste and texture. Japan imports 110,000 tons of squid yearly, while the US consumes about 170 million pounds annually. This makes squid a staple from Tokyo's sushi bars to San Francisco seafood spots. Annually, over 60 million pounds of mullet roe are harvested in various regions, including Italian Mediterranean coasts and vibrant fishing communities in Taiwan and Japan, to produce a prized delicacy known as botarga. The harvest season typically starts in late fall. In Taiwan's Tainan port, advanced farming boosted mullet roe yields by 20%, reaching over 2 million pounds annually. A single mullet can yield up to 5% of its weight in roe, with large fish providing nearly half a pound of this prized product. Japanese fishermen in the Seto Inland Sea process 3,000 fish daily, adding about 10 million pounds to the global market yearly. Florida's growing market sees annual catches over 1.5 million pounds, driven by rising domestic and global demand. After harvest, mullet roe undergoes careful curing, impacting the $250 million global botarga industry's pricing. The priciest botarga hails from Italy, costing up to $200 per kilo. Roe sacks are meticulously washed to remove impurities before heavy salting. Salting can take hours to a full day depending on the roe's size. The roe is then pressed, stacked under heavy weights. Afterward, they're washed individually. Next is drying, which varies between countries. Japanese and Taiwanese factories use traditional sun drying, turning every 2-3 hours. Some facilities patch broken roe with pig intestine membranes. This PET step is the longest, needing 5 skilled workers for 3,000 roe. These facilities process about 3 million pounds of roe yearly for export to US and European markets. Meanwhile, Italian producers hang them in the shade to dry. This unique process gives the final product a firm golden brown texture and distinct aroma. Once dried, botarga is vacuum sealed and shipped to gourmet markets and fine restaurants worldwide. In Italy, popular dishes include classic spaghetti with botarga, while in Taiwan, grilled botarga is preferred. Its bold flavor isn't for everyone, but those who enjoy it often become lifelong fans. It's easy to see why. A blend of sweet and savory notes with a creamy texture sets this delicacy apart from other seafood. Sturgeon, especially beluga, can take nearly 20 years to mature before its roe can be harvested. That's why it can cost up to $25,000 per kilo, making it one of the world's most expensive foods. Here, only 10 to 20% of fish are harvested yearly, after careful screening using ultrasound technology to ensure high-quality caviar. Once mature, fish are sedated or culled before surgically removing their roe. This involves opening the fish and gently extracting the egg sac, called peeling. Notice no blood in the cut, as fish were thoroughly cleaned beforehand. Firm egg texture is a key quality marker, with larger eggs fetching higher prices. Some farms milk live sturgeon at 43 degrees Fahrenheit, sparing lives and saving money. Eggs are then separated from the sac by gently rubbing them on a metal grate. About 8 fish are processed daily, yielding around 16 million eggs. If needed, blood clots or misshapen eggs are carefully plucked out with tweezers. This process can take about an hour for each batch. At Marshallberg Farms, a top caviar producer, after extracting the roe, eggs are rinsed and salted with fine minus salt. This crucial step enhances flavor and preserves caviar for retail sale up to 3 months. Once prepared, caviar is packed in airtight cans, graded, and shipped worldwide. Caviar is typically classified into 2 main categories: superior and classic. Superior caviar has larger, lighter-colored eggs with a firmer texture, priced at $1,200 per kilogram, while classic caviar with smaller and darker eggs sells for about $798 per kilogram. Some caviars age up to 3 months, deepening flavor and increasing value. While the Caspian Sea is famous for caviar from popular sturgeon species, these fish are now found worldwide. In 2023, the US imported $19.8 million in caviar, with China dominating 70% of the market. However, American farms are growing fast, producing over 5,300 pounds of caviar yearly, double last year's output. Salmon eggs, known as ikura in Japan, its biggest consumer, are processed similarly to caviar. The texture is delightful, a satisfying pop when pressed against the palate, followed by a burst of juicy flavor. Raising and processing these fish requires a lot of labor, so although they're cheaper than caviar, salmon eggs still sell for about $100 per kilo in specialty stores. Salmon eggs come in various sizes, from tiny 5 mm soaky salmon pearls to larger centimeter-sized chum salmon eggs. The eggs have a consistency and color similar to honey. For an authentic Japanese culinary experience, try ikura sushi. This traditional dish features nori seaweed wrapped in sushi rice, topped with a generous portion of salmon eggs. Many prefer salmon eggs because, while not as pricey as caviar, they are packed with nutrients including omega-3 fatty acids and minerals that boost UV resistance and combat sun damage. Harvesting herring eggs on kelp is a traditional method for commercial production, especially in Alaska and British Columbia. Uniquely, herring eggs can be eaten right after harvest, as they're not inside the fish. Each spring, fishermen place submerged kelp beds where herring are expected to spawn. Fish lay eggs on the kelp leaves, and the egg-covered kelp is carefully collected. The first sign of spawning is visible from above, light-colored water due to the white herring eggs.